Bad timing on your move to Kansas City could cost you 10 grand. Yeah, $10,000. Move during peak season and you'll end up paying up to 30% more for everything. People get so focused on finding the right house and locking in a good rate that they miss something huge. The property tax system here is so up and down that families have to be ready for surprise bills every year. That's the #1 mistake people make when moving to Kansas City, missing these hidden costs. I'll break down how taxes, timing, and school changes create a perfect storm and the strategy to avoid it. And the first piece of that storm starts right here in Jackson County. If you're looking at homes there, which covers most of KC, you've got to know this. The state government had to step in twice to stop the county from overcharging people on property taxes. Twice, and this is exactly where a lot of new homeowners get blindsided. Back in August 2024 and again in May of this year, the Missouri State Tax Commission told Jackson County to roll back its assessments. Why? Because the county couldn't follow the proper process. They didn't. In plain English, the state had to say, you can't do this to homeowners. This was about protecting families from tax bills that were completely out of line. I get it, property tax talk can feel a little dry, but stick with me. This will all make sense when we get to the school district timing trap later, where changes in school lines are shaking up both education choices and long-term home values. Now, here's the part you need to know soon if you're moving to Jackson County. The county put in a 15% cap on increases for 2025 after those huge jumps in 2023. But the new 2025 notices only list 2024 and 25 numbers, which means you can't even check if the 2023 rollbacks were actually applied. And before we dive deeper, hit that subscribe button. I drop new videos every week breaking down Kansas City neighborhoods, real home prices, and what's really going on in this market. No sugarcoating, just real talk from someone who lives and breathes KC real estate every day. It only takes a second and it helps more people find these videos too. All right, so back to Jackson County. And if you're looking at new construction, it's a whole other headache. When you buy, the builder gives you an estimated tax number. You move in thinking, okay, that's my bill. Then a year later, sometimes even 18 months, the county updates the value and boom, your tax bill automatically jumps by thousands of dollars. And this isn't a maybe problem, it's already happening. If you're buying in Jackson County, plan on an extra $2,000 to $4,000 a year just in case. Not a one-time hit, but every single year. Because the county is unpredictable and you've got to be ready. But before we look at how this plays out across the Kansas side, you need to hear about a hidden twist. At first glance, Kansas homes look like the safe bet, and sometimes they're not. And what's going on over there could totally change your cost of living. All right, let's talk Missouri versus Kansas property taxes. Most people think Kansas is the cheaper option, but the truth is way more complicated than that. And if you don't know the difference, it could cost you thousands. Here's the real deal. Johnson County, Kansas is predictable. The average property tax is about $4,100 a year with a rate of 1.32%. But the real win isn't the number, it's the process. Homeowners know exactly when their taxes are coming up. They get noticed. The increases follow real market trends, not some random budget problem at the county. And that kind of predictability matters. Families can plan ahead, no big surprises. In fact, when we look at the bigger picture later, you'll see how this stability can mean a $5,000 to $10,000 swing in just your first year. Now, let's go forward to Missouri. On paper, rates look just a little bit lower, but Jackson County, total roller coaster. One year you think you're saving money, next year your assessment jumps 40%. Whatever you saved is gone in an instant, and that's the difference. Johnson County lets families budget with confidence. Jackson County forces families to keep thousands of dollars in reserve just in case. That's money you can't use for vacations, investments, or anything else because you're bracing for the county to drop another surprise tax bill. And here's the kicker. Kansas doesn't charge you a personal property tax on your car, whereas Missouri does, every single year. And that little detail blindsides almost every new Missouri resident. So let's dig into that car tax surprise because it's the perfect example of how these small costs stack up fast and turn into a real budget headache for new KC homeowners. Okay, here's the part almost nobody warns you about. Missouri taxes your car every single year, not just when you first register it, every single year. Cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats, RVs, if you own it on January 1st, Missouri wants a piece of it. And this isn't like a one-time tag fee in other states. This is a yearly property tax based on what your vehicle is. So the way the system works is set up to catch you off guard. If you're new to Missouri, before you can even register your car, you've got to get a paper called a statement of non-assessment from the county assessor's office. Nobody tells you this when you're planning your move. So you walk into the DMV ready to register like you did back home, and they send you right back out the door. You first have to go to the assessor's office, then come back again. It's confusing, it's time consuming, and honestly, it feels like a trap. And why does this matter so much? Because when we look at moving season cost multipliers later, this car tax can turn into the perfect storm. Mix it with bad timing, and suddenly your budget isn't just stressed for a few months, it can throw off your finances for years. Here's where most people get caught. They run the numbers on their house payment, think they're in the clear, and then forget about the car tax, but this bill hits every year and it's big enough to throw off your monthly budget. How big are we talking? It depends on your county and the car you drive, but if you've got two newer cars, you could be looking at several $100s a year. And for families moving here from states that don't have this, total shock. Here's the thing, this is just the beginning. Up next, I'm going to show you how school district boundaries can change and mess with property values in ways most buyers never even think about. Even if schools aren't a top priority for you right now, this could still impact your investment long term. Most people don't stop to think about this. Even if you don't have school-age kids, school changes can hit your wallet. Yeah, school district moves can change home values, and that can mess up your investment for years. Let's take Lee Summit as an example. The district has been looking at merging Lee Summit Elementary with Westview Elementary. The plan was to move everyone into a renovated school on the Westview site because fewer kids are enrolling. As of December of last year, the school board hit pause. They want more research and feedback through 2025. But here's the thing, it's still tied to their 2025 bond package. If they push forward, it means attendance zones change. And while that might sound like just a school problem, it's also a money problem. We talk about the compound effect later, and you'll see how this, combined with Jackson County's tax swings, can create a perfect storm. I'm talking 5 to 10 grand gone in your first year. Now, think about what this says. Both of those schools have been losing students for 6 straight years, and this is the 6th largest district in Missouri. So if you move in while this is happening, you're buying into a district that's shrinking, not growing. Right now, Lee Summit R7 runs 18 elementary schools, 4 middle schools, and 3 high schools across 117 square miles. They've got about 17,600 students for the 2024 to 25 school year. The area covers Lee Summit, Greenwood, Lake Lotawana, and parts of Kansas City, Missouri. Here's where families get caught though. You buy a house thinking your kids are gonna go to one school, then bam, consolidation happens. Suddenly they're reassigned to a different building, maybe further away, and that kind of uncertainty is a nightmare for planning daily life. I've got small kids, so I understand that this could be a total headache. And it doesn't just affect parents. When a school shuts down or merges, home values around it often drop. Why? Because families want to live near active schools. When options shrink, demand goes down, and so do values. But this is only one piece of the timing puzzle. Next, I'll show you how even the season you move in, Kansas City, can change your costs in a way most people never even think about. And trust me, the difference can be huge. Most people don't think about this, but the timing of your move can cost you thousands. Seriously, the season you move to KC can make or break your budget. Here's why moving costs here swing 20 to 40% depending on the time of year. And it's not just the truck that costs more. Bad timing creates ripple effects that stack up fast. Peak season runs from May through about September here, and during those months, you'll pay 20 to 30% more. So if a move would have cost you $3,000 in the off season, you're now looking at almost $4,000 in the summer for the exact same service. Talk about the snow in the winter, and you can see why. And it's not just about the money. Summer moves mean you've got to book 6 to 8 weeks in advance. Weekend spots are almost impossible. Last-minute cancellations are way more common. Everyone's trying to move at the same time, which means higher prices and lower service quality. And here's the kicker. We'll connect this later with taxes and school district changes, but this timing issue alone can help create a $5,000 to $10,000 hit in your first year. And the pain doesn't stop there. Higher moving rates push some people to go with cheaper movers, but that deal can end up costing more. Damaged furniture, delays, you name it. Add in busy inspection schedules and your closing can get pushed back. Suddenly you're paying for extra days of temporary housing you didn't budget for. Now let's flip it. Off-season moves from about October through April are a totally different story. Prices drop 20 to 40%. Movers have more openings, they compete harder for your business, which means you get better service for less money because they need the work. And booking, night and day. In peak season, you're scrambling 6 to 8 weeks ahead, praying your mover doesn't cancel. In the off season, you can book closer to your date and you've got backup options if something falls through. And let's not forget the stress factor. When you're maxed out on logistics, you make expensive choices in other parts of your move. It's human nature, stress makes you spend more. So here's where this all ties together. And next, I'm going to show you how these timing mistakes stack up into one massive financial hit. And it's big enough to change how you experience homeownership for years. Now, let's put it all together. This is where the perfect storm can hit your budget, and I'll show you exactly what that looks like in real dollars. So when Jackson County's unpredictable taxes mixed with bad moving timing and school changes, it's not just an inconvenience, it's financial stress that can change how you experience homeownership and even impact your family's security for years. Here's the storm in simple math. Property tax surprises in Jackson County can run $2,000 to $4,000 a year. Add in peak season moving costs that are 20 to 30% higher, plus school district timing issues, and you've got one massive financial hit. The real numbers don't lie. The difference between a well-timed, well-researched move and a poorly timed one can be $5,000 to $10,000 in your very first year. And that's not even counting the ongoing yearly hits from property tax swings and Missouri's car tax that many people never plan for. The good news, I'm going to give you the exact strategies I've used to help tons of families avoid these traps. They can save you thousands both right away and in the long run. But here's the reality. If you're buying in Jackson County, you should budget an extra $2,000 to $4,000 each year just for tax surprises. That money has to come from somewhere. Either you cut back on your other parts of life or you drain your emergency emergency fund, wondering if this is the year your bill jumps 40%. Peak season moving adds thousands too. Between truck rental, labor, and stretched timelines, you could easily overspend. And if inspections get delayed during busy season, you may end up paying for temporary housing, storage, or rushed closing costs that you wouldn't face in the off-season. And don't forget the schools. Buying in the wrong district during a consolidation might look like a good deal up front, but it could cost you tens of thousands later in lost appreciation because families with kids avoid that neighborhood. On top of all of this, the unpredictability of Jackson County's assessments mean that you need a bigger emergency fund than usual. Instead of 3 to 6 months, you may need more cash just sitting there waiting for the county's next surprise. Here's the deal. If you're aware of how Jackson County's taxes fluctuate, plan for Missouri's yearly car tax, time your move during the off-season, and assess the stability of the school district, you can avoid the $5,000 to $10,000 surprise that blindsides many people moving to Kansas City. The key is this: don't treat your move like it's only about the lifestyle. It's also about the money. Do the homework on each home's taxes, budget for the hidden costs you won't see in other states, and time your move so you're not stuck paying summer premiums. Johnson County, Kansas gives you steady assessments, so it's easier to budget, but you'll pay higher base rates for that predictability. Jackson County, Missouri looks cheaper on paper, but one reassessment jump and those savings can vanish overnight. So let's talk timing. If you move between October and April, you can save 20 to 40% on moving costs, and the service is way better. Movers are more reliable and flexible because they actually need the business. That's thousands of dollars back in your pocket for year one surprises. Schools matter too, even if you don't have kids. Stay away from areas with shrinking enrollment or schools on the edge of consolidating, because when schools shift, home values follow, and that hits you when you go to sell. Don't forget Missouri's personal property tax on vehicles. It's an extra bill that can add up hundreds or even thousands every single year. Way too many buyers only focus on their mortgage, and this one catches them off guard. So here's the good news. You don't have to figure this out alone. I can help you put together a plan that protects your budget from day one and sets you up for a smooth, smart move to Kansas City. If you're planning to move to Kansas City and don't want to get blindsided by taxes or bad timing, email me at Kelsea@lakewoodhomesandland.com. I'll look at the homes you're considering and help you build a timeline that keeps your budget safe. I live in this market every single day, and I've helped tons of families steer clear of these exact problems. With the right plan, every one of these headaches is 100% avoidable. And if you're wondering where your money will grow the fastest in Kansas City, go ahead and click the video on your screen. I'll walk you through 5 suburbs where home values are jumping by as much as 27%, and most buyers don't even know about them yet. Don't wait until everyone else catches on. Click now and see where your smart money is moving. Have a good one.